Welcome to the E-Academy. In today's episode, we will continue discussing how to configure the intricate control panel and the INT-GSM communication module connected to it. This time we will focus on aspects of event reporting and remote module firmware updates. We will use the set that was already configured in earlier episodes. It consists of a computer with the Windows operating system, an Integra 128 Plus control panel with power supply unit and battery, an INT-GSM module, an INT-TSG keypad. We will also use 2 nano-SIM cards, a smartphone, a USB-RS converter, and the DLoadX configuration program. First, connect the control panel to the computer. To establish a connection, enter the local programming mode. To do so, open the terminal, enter the service code, and confirm with the asterisk. Use the up arrow to go to the downloading item. Press the hash. To confirm entering the local programming mode, use the hash. Start the DLoadX program. Select the COM port to which the control panel is connected and click OK. The system appears. Click Yes, then click OK. Wait for the data to be read from the control panel. Open the structure window, expand the Hardware tab, select INT-GSM. Go to the right side of the window to the INT-GSM Functions tab. You have 6 tabs there. Next to the last one is Reporting. Select the tab. We would like to remind you that the INT-GSM module can report events from the control panel to 2 monitoring stations. The information can be sent using 2 paths. The first of them is GPRS, the other one is SMS messaging. If sending the event code over one transmission path fails, the module may attempt to use another path. It is possible to set the priority of individual paths, which we will show you in a moment. By default, the transmission priority path is blank. Click on the Add button and select the required transmission path that will be placed on the list. You can choose GPRS transmission using the first and second SIM cards. For the SMS messages, you can similarly select the SIM card that will be used first to make an attempt to send the event code. Important note, to contact the indicated monitoring station, the INT-GSM module will only use the transmission paths that are included in the transmission priority list. In addition, it must be remembered that if only one SIM card is installed in the module, you should only indicate the options that are relevant to that card. After the list is completed, you can still change the priority of the transmission paths. To do this, select one of them. Now you can use the arrow buttons to move it up or down on the list. When reporting events via GPRS, the module waits for the acknowledgement that the event codes have been received by the monitoring station to check that the information transmission is correct. If the code transfer fails, INT-GSM will attempt to send information about the event using the next path. After acknowledgement from the station, the procedure is stopped. In the case of reporting by means of SMS messages, the module receives no acknowledgements from the monitoring station. A successful send of SMS message containing the event codes is interpreted as delivery of the message and thus ends the procedure. This is why the SMS SIM1 and SMS SIM2 paths should be used as the last priority. So, why are there options for sending SMS messages using 2 cards one after the other? This solution is used in case the message has failed to be sent via the first of the selected cards because of network problems, insufficient account balance, etc. In the same way, you can define the priority of the paths transmitting event codes to the second monitoring station. When setting the priority, remember that switching from one SIM card to another can take up to a minute or so. This is because, among other things, a change of login to another network is necessary. It should also be taken into account that the switching between SIM cards is affected by the lock time and return time parameters, which are configured in the GSM phone tab. Let's return to the Reporting tab. If you have placed SMS reporting on the list of settings for the selected monitoring station, you should also enter its telephone number there. This number, like other parameters of the station, should be provided by its administrator. Below, you can define how the message content is to be built for SMS reporting. By default, the SMS message format programmed in the INT-GSM is compatible with the contact ID. This format is used, for example, by the STAM2 monitoring station. If these settings are to be changed, please note that the format should be consistent with the requirements of the station to which the event codes will be sent by the module. So much for the reporting settings in the INT-GSM module. Now let's go to the reporting settings in the control panel itself. To do so, click on the appropriate icon. In the upper part of the window, there are 3 reporting options to choose from. In the present case, when only the INT-GSM module is connected to the control panel, check the reporting ETHM INT-GSM field. Then select one of the available options to choose stations to which event codes will be sent. You can set the module to send information to one station only. Reporting to 2 stations simultaneously is also possible. On the other hand, the Station 1 or Station 2 option means that the control panel will first make an attempt to send the event code to Station 1 and, if it fails, to Station 2. Select the last option. Go to the reporting format field below. Define here the format in which the event codes are to be sent to the given monitoring station. The choice depends on what format is supported by it. In the server address, port and station key fields, enter the data received from the monitoring station administrator. In addition, indicate whether the event codes are to be sent to the station in SATEL IP format, for example STAM2, or in SIA IP. Choose also the TCP or the UDP protocol. Important note, if events are to be reported using the SATEL IP format by means of the ETHM1 Plus and INT-GSM modules, the ETHM1 key should be specified for transmission purposes. The Identifiers field is used to define how events related to individual objects of your alarm system will be marked. Separately, you can also give an identifier with which system events such as troubles will be sent. If you have selected sending events to both stations, you can specify in the Events Assignment field which events are to be sent to either of them. However, this does not apply to the situation in which Contact ID full or SIA full format is selected. Now we go to the Identifiers Assignment tab. Here you can determine the identifiers with which events relating to individual system components, partitions, zones, keypads and expanders will be sent. The last main tab in this window are event codes. It applies to the Pulse and Ademco Express formats. If you want to use any of these formats, you need to program codes specifying individual events in the system. These codes can be defined in subsequent tabs for each object separately. The last tab allows you to assign identifiers to system events. At this point, details of the test transmission can be defined and specifically how often these transmissions are to be sent. You can, therefore, indicate that the transmission should be sent, for example, every few days at the same time. The second option is to send test transmissions within a specific time interval, for example, every few hours. If the No Sync to Last Transmission box is checked, the time will be counted only between test transmissions. Otherwise, the countdown will start anew after each contact with the station, regardless of whether it was a test transmission or whether a code regarding any event was sent. At the bottom of the window you can see 2 buttons. The first of them, that is, Important Reporting Data, is used to import data such as partition identifiers from a file. This can significantly speed up the work because you will not have to enter this information manually. The other button can be useful if the event codes from your control panel are to be sent to the STAM2 station. After pressing the button, you can prepare a file containing names of partitions, zones, users and devices present in your system. Such a file can be imported by the monitoring station administrator. As a result, events read by the station will contain detailed information which will make it easier to interpret what is happening in the system. For example, instead of the Alarm in Partition 1 event, the Alarm in Garage Partition message will appear. And this concludes our discussion of the information about event reporting. Now we can proceed to the subject of a remote update in the INT-GSM firmware. To carry out the update process, the upserve program will be needed. How this program is used we presented in detail in the 21st episode of our series. Now we will show you how to prepare the INT-GSM module for this purpose. Let's go to the Remote Firmware Update tab. If the update server has already been configured and you know its address and port number, you can enter the data right away. You can also check the Update Server Address and SMS option. Thus, you will be able to provide the server address and port number in the message initiating the download of the new firmware. The message should have the right form. Below, enter the text of the commands after receiving of which the module will start downloading or updating the firmware. These commands must not be longer than 8 alphanumeric characters. It should be remembered that the content of commands initiating the downloading and updating of the firmware must be different from the other ones programmed in the module. For example, those that have been defined in the SMS control tab. When downloading the firmware, the module works normally, and after the process is completed, it sends an SMS message to inform you whether the download was successful. The answer is directed to the phone number from which the download initiating command was sent. The next command, the content of which must be programmed, is the SMS initiating update. The module will start the update process using the previously downloaded firmware only after receiving this message. When updating the firmware, the module does not perform its normal functions. Additionally, if the service mode is not entered in the control panel for the duration of updating, the module will report that the INT-GSM module is not available. Therefore, remember to enter the service mode before starting the firmware update process. When all is done, save the data to the module. To finish the configuration, send the data to the control panel. Now we will show you how to trigger the download of the new firmware. Send an SMS to the module. The module should start downloading data from the update server prepared in Upserve. This process can take up to several minutes. While waiting, you can send again the message starting the download. In response, you will receive information about the progress of the download. Okay, the module has successfully downloaded the new program. You can now run the update. Before you start it, remember to enter the service mode of the control panel. After the update has completed, the module will display appropriate information. Please note that the update may also take several minutes. The update process was completed successfully. That's all for today. Thank you. Please watch the next eAcademy episode. See you soon.